Well, I don't quite know what to say.
Is it all right?
Well, I think there's more detail than is needed, but otherwise it's perfect.
I thought it was better to put everything in. That way there's more they can check up on.
I'm sure you're right. You haven't signed it?
No, I thought I was supposed to get a witness. Have you done it, Jackie?
Yes. Yes, she's done it. And she's got a witness.
Seems as though Helen's got all the proof in her bank account showing how he used to pay her for the girls she used to organise for.
Yeah, we knew that.
Well, all she has to do is get a written authority for them to see her bank account, and she's home and hosed.
This looks like our chance.
Well, what do you mean, B?
Well, they don't let Helen out tomorrow, and I don't think they're going to. We have to find a way of getting that written authority to the dispatch.
Well, do you reckon we can?
We have to. I'm going to slam that bastard Stan Phillips the last thing we do.
Damn it all. There's got to be some way we can get that letter of authorization out for Helen. I mean, we've got messages in and out of the pound before this.
Yeah, but this time it's different. The screws are really making sure that nobody gets near her. Maybe Stanfield's bribing them too.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That isn't our biggest problem. The screws will slip up eventually, they always do. The tricky bit is going to be getting that letter out of the prison.
We better do something before long, otherwise Helen's going to end up spending the rest of her life behind brick walls. I mean, couldn't we get one of the visitors to smuggle it out?
Too risky. There's always a chance they might be searched. And there's got to be someone we can trust. And I think it's going to have to be Steve Faulkner.
What? He's a screw, remember? You know what they're like about money. He's probably being bribed too.
But he's helped us before, remember, as long as he thought it was for a good cause.
Yeah, and he never made us pay.
So all we have to do is convince him that Helen's cause is worth risking his job for.
Judy, Mrs. Davidson would like to see you.
What have I done now?
You'll find out.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, I guess. Mr. Faulkner, would you tell Mrs. Morris I'd like to go back with the other women?
That'll be up to Mrs. Davidson. She's only put you in here for your own protection, you know.
Yeah, but I don't need protection now. I've done what they wanted. I've given Mrs. Davidson a written statement.
Clearing Bryant?
Yeah,
Good on you. I think you've done the right thing.
maybe. I'm not so sure. Clears her, but what's it going to do to me? Mrs. Morris reckons I'll only get a fine. What do you reckon?
Well, that'll be up to the court, but it sounds right to me. It's not too bad when you think about it. I mean, Judy shouldn't even be here. Must have been a hell of a blow to find herself back inside for something she didn't do.
Yeah, well, she's in the clear now. So can I go back with the other women? They haven't got any reason to have it in for me now.
I'll see what I can do.
I've only got 4 more days to serve. I'll go nuts if I've got to spend them in here. At least I hope I've only got 4.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
I thought you'd be pleased.
Pleased? That's the understatement of the year. I thought my chances of getting out of here were really stuffed. Oh, sorry,
I think I know what you mean.
Well, what do we do now?
Well, first of all, a copy of this has to be forwarded to the police through your solicitor. Then they decide whether or not you and Donahue were, in fact, in collusion.
Well, we weren't. I mean, that was clear in the statement.
Yes, I know, and I'm sure she was telling the truth. But the police have to make the final decision. You then make an application for an appeal, and all being well, the sentence should be quashed.
Okay, that's clear. What's next?
Well, as you know, your parole license has been cancelled, so you will have to reapply for that. In the meantime, just behave yourself and don't spoil your chances.
You don't have to worry about me. From now on, I'm going to be a little angel. Maybe not so little. In fact, I think I won't be seeing you again unless it's for a visit.
I hope so, Bryant. I really hope so.
How's it all going?
Oh, terrific, if you don't mind slave labour.
I want your opinion on something.
Yeah?
How do you think the women would react if we put Donahue back with her?
Don't think much of a chance. It's not the way she's been holding out on Judy.
What if I told you that she'd made a statement clearing Judy?
Yeah, fair dinkum.
It's on Mrs. Davidson's desk right now.
Well, that'd change the attitude a lot.
Could you guarantee her safety?
Yeah, I suppose so, as long as she behaves herself.
Right, I'll have a word to the governor. It's good news for Judy, isn't it?
Yeah, terrific. But what about Helen Smart?
What about it?
Haven't you heard? Well, she upset some political bigwig called Stanfield, and the next minute they find a bundle of dope in her apartment. Apparently she has some evidence that would ruin his political chances, and he's making damn sure she doesn't get a chance to use it.
What sort of evidence?
Books, accounts, that sort of thing. She needs to get a letter of authorisation out to your mate at the Dispatch so they can be examined. But Stanfield has the usual connections in high places, and he's making it impossible for her.
You want me to smuggle it out, right?
Yeah.
No way. It cost me my job.
Well, so much for your principles on justice.
Well, now, fair go. I'm already skating on thin ice for the last 2 articles in the Dispatch. They'd know for sure it was me.
And what if Pal were to find out that you let Lizzie in to speak to Helen? That'd cost you your job too.
Oh, Doreen, shut up.
Look, I'm prepared to do the odd favour for you when it won't cause any harm. That's all. That's the way it's got to be.
No guts. What would you expect?
Oh, well, you can't really blame him, I suppose, anyway. It was worth a try.
Yeah, well, who else is there now?
No one I can think of. So it looks like we could do it all by ourselves.
Hey, girls. You never guess what happened.
Jackie signed a confession.
Oh, I wanted to tell you that.
Mr. Faulkner told us. Oh, he gets wonderful luck.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It's marvellous, Jude.
Yeah.
When are they going to let you out?
Well, I don't know. I guess there'll be a lot of red tape and all that. The good thing is Laurie's not going to know I was back inside.
Well, there's cause for a celebration drink. How's the brew going, Doreen?
I'm not too sure. See, I'm not real good at making this stuff. I think it smells vile. Lizzie reckons it's all right. I've got to check it out later.
Is there enough there for a drink or not?
Oh, I'm not too sure about that either, but I've got to go down the boiler room later. Will you come with me,
Yeah,
Jude?
sure.
No. Not a good idea. Jude has to behave herself. We don't want to mess up her release.
Now, come on. I'll be careful. Anyway, it's worth the risk for a drink, isn't it?
All right, but I hold you responsible, Doreen.
So what's new? If Davo got pregnant, you'd hold me responsible.
Yeah. And a couple of weeks' time, you won't be able to blame me if she gets pregnant.
I'd like to thank you for your cooperation, Mrs. Davidson. I wish everyone was this helpful.
Well, quite frankly, Sergeant Ryan, I personally cannot see the necessity now there's been a public trial. The drug organisation must know by now that Helen Smart is in Wentworth.
And sure to. That's why we want to keep her segregated. We think they might get jumpy and try to do away with her while she's in here.
Well, I'm sure our security could handle any attempt.
Mrs. Davidson, with all due respect, you must realise that we're dealing with experts. Dangerous experts. They may have already put a sleeper in here. It has happened before.
I can understand your concern, but I assure you it is completely against my principles. However, the department has instructed me to work in close cooperation with the police, so for the time being, my hands are somewhat tied.
Yes, I can understand how you feel, but it is necessary for the time being.
This business about withholding any writing materials, what is the reason behind that?
Well, she mustn't be given the opportunity to get any messages out to the gang. We don't want them to go for cover.
Her mail could be censored.
There are other ways. Code, notes smuggled out. Believe me, we know what we're doing.
You wanted to see me, Mrs. Davidson?
Yes, Mr. Faulkner. Sergeant Ryan is here to have another interview with Helen Smart. Would you look after him, please?
Yes, of course. This way, Sergeant. Incidentally, Helen Smart served her 2 days in solitary. Will I return her to the main part of the prison?
All her rights and privileges are to be restored to her, but in the meantime, she is to be returned to the special solitary cell we've arranged for her.
But I thought
Just carry out your orders, Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Oh, and the writing materials.
Yes. Also, she is not to have access to any writing materials. That will be all, thank you.
Thanks once again for your cooperation, Mrs. Davidson.
Oh, it's you again.
Don't be like that, Smart.
What did you expect? Handsprings? You had your trial, you got your conviction. What more do you want?
I've been asked to question you further.
Do you want me to leave?
No, it doesn't matter.
I've been over it 1,000 times. There's nothing more I can tell you.
Or maybe there's something new you may have remembered.
There isn't. How long am I going to be locked up here in solitary? I was only supposed to be here for 2 days.
You'll have all your privileges returned today.
Thank God for that.
Where did the drugs come from?
Are you still here? I don't know where the drugs came from.
I have no connections with the narcotics business and never have had. I have no contact with any runners whatsoever. Prior to the drugs being found in my flat, I spent several days in Wentworth Detention Centre on a charge of prostitution. Several people had access to the flat in my absence. It is my opinion that the drugs were deliberately planted to incriminate me. End of story, end of interview, goodbye.
If that's true, obviously you'd suspect someone.
Well, you found them, maybe it was you.
Why would I do that?
Oh, who knows? Maybe you were down on your number of arrests for the month.